Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. Today, we are going to be taking a look at Bitcoin mining stocks. By the way, if any of you are curious why I've been gone for the last few weeks, I was on a much needed and well deserved vacation. Feel great. Let's get into it. So, starting off with fear and greed, we have a little bit of a disconnect, something to be aware of is that in stocks, and we are looking at mining stocks, even though there is a lot of correlation with crypto, stocks are in greed right now. You can see that on pie vesting and on CNN. But when we go over to crypto, what do we notice? We are in extreme fear. So, like I say in the intro, and like Warren Buffett says, be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. I like to say be cautious because there can still be good value depending where you're looking. So crypto is in extreme fear. What is Bitcoin doing? What's the price action looking like? We're going to update ourselves. And I'll be honest, guys, I have not looked at these charts in a couple weeks. So you're going to be getting my live reactions as I take a look at these. I'll be completely authentic in my reactions with you guys, and that's something I always try to bring you on this channel. And as you can see here in the last year, this is as low as fear has been in crypto. Now, here at Market Psychology, what I want to teach you guys is now is the time that you should be excited and salivating over possible price action. Again, I don't know where the miners are right now. We're going to look at them here in a minute, but when you see fear like this, instead of feeling bummed out that prices are low, now is the time to possibly accumulate and buy in more, possibly get better value than you've been able to this entire last year. We don't try to get too cute with timing the bottoms and the tops. As much as that'd be nice to do, none of us have a foolproof plan for that. So we just want to be able to set a budget, be smart, be conservative, dollar cost average in from your budget, make a plan, and see where we can go from there. When we take a look at the alt season index, guys, we're still in an uptrend, even though this has come down. And some of you may remember, I've been looking for this to blast off. We haven't really broken down too much there. So things are still overall looking fine to me. And as far as the rainbow chart, I did a video on that yesterday. Subscribe to watch some of those where I talk about the Bitcoin rainbow chart, Bitcoin dominance, more into fear and greed and all that. We are in good value zones right there. So let's take a look at Bitcoin and then we'll hop over to the miners. Bitcoin, this is on the daily time frame. You can see here, at least for today so far, it is flashing a daily sell signal. So it is on this 200-day moving average and it's hanging on by a thread. I did not like these wicks as far as possible reversal of trend or for things to be bullish, but if we're going to be underneath the 200 on the daily, then we got to look at the weekly, and the next stop for the weekly is this 50-week moving average at around 51, 52. On the daily, you can see there is some price structure over here as well. So if things broke below that, you'd be looking at 43, 48. I'm curious to see. Yeah, we have the 100-week moving average at around 43. So that would be a lot of structure down there. Now, typically things in the crypto market or for any stock is overall bullish as long as we stay above the 50-week. But if we did break down, do be careful. Obviously, dollar cost average in into things you like so you don't miss the value completely. But I like to find good price structure, buy sell signals, things such as that. All right. Enough talking, let's get into the mining stocks. And let's first start off with Marathon. And Marathon, all right, so over the past few weeks, it's just been going sideways. So we really haven't missed too much here. And we have a confluence of the moving averages of 50, 100, 200, as well as the 0.5 on the fib. And the fib I drew, it's this tool right here if you guys want to do this at home. You draw from the prior high to the next low, and that's how you get it up here. Now, when we're looking at prices in between, you want to make sure that your fib is on log scale, which it is. When we're looking at possible price predictions far off into the future, you take that off log, and you can take a look at things. In the most bullish scenarios, should we get another 4-year cycle type blow off top, whether it's 4 years, or a little bit less. You can see each cycle in between the halvings, we get these spikes. When the next one will come, who knows? I'm guessing earlier next year is my most educated guess. But if we get something major where Bitcoin, let's say it goes up to 150K or 200, where this could spike, I'll just show you for this one right here. You take the fibs off log scale, and at least for Mara, when you zoom out, let's zoom way out here. Let's get that out of the way. You see right now it's at 20. It has a market cap of 5.4 billion. So my guess for, I look at this as an altcoin personally. So my guess would be, because this is somewhat of a medium higher cap altcoin or mining stock, something around 50 to 80 billion as far as market cap would be my best guess. And as you can see right here, the 2618, this is about a 10x. So that would be my best guess price prediction. Again, make a plan. So if it does get above here, you are taking some percentage of profits. Or if you want to be balls to the walls and wait to hit the 2618, take 100% of profits, make your own plan. You do you. But that would be a 10x, from 20 to 213 right here. You can see it's at the 2618. So I like to take a look at market cap and guess where things will go from there. A lot of YouTubers, they give these unrealistic price predictions for market cap to be 500 billion, over a trillion, like some of the top stocks in the world, Apple, Amazon, all those. I don't see that, guys. So, at best, I'd take a look between the 50 to 100 billion range at best. Not saying it's going to stay there. Anyways, we are still just going sideways here on Mara and some, excuse me. Let me take a sip of coffee here. Costa Rican coffee. It's good stuff. So as we can see here on the daily, because weekly we are still staying above, the daily it did come down. It held on this 100-day moving average, a little bit of a rejection. So if it comes back down, the next daily target for the 200-day would be around 18. And then, of course, you have this 16 level down here. And, yeah, a lot of supports there, though. So, overall, I think good value time for Mara. I'll be a little quicker with the other ones. I just wanted to show you some possible price targets to look for, how to look for them. Obviously, do your research into these companies. Check the balance sheets and everything, if you will. So, again, drew a fib from the former high to low. And something else with RIOT here as we get into this one. Notice how we have this trend line from prior peaks. This was the end of alt season in December of 2017. Take a look at the Bitcoin rainbow chart. That was right here. You can see December 2017. We also had the April and November of 21 for the double top, and this one topped around that March, April time. So I am wondering if RIOT's going to get back up to somewhere on this trend line again, and that could be a possible price target. Now look at that. That might be something like a 16, 17x if it were to get there. Not saying it will, but that'd be something to watch for. And here on the weekly, yeah, this isn't looking too great, though. We are maintaining this base with these wicks. These wicks, man, they're all over the place. But let's, yeah, we've broken down underneath that. Wonder if we have anything on the monthly. No. As far as the moving averages, we're well underneath them on the daily, the weekly. And so, really, I would say the price that we'd absolutely have to hold for RIOT would be around this high sevens right here. And then, of course, you have the fib at around 7. So there'll be some areas for protection. But overall, compared to a lot of altcoins I've seen, at least these first two mining stocks haven't been breaking down as bad as some things like Link, ICP, and others, even some of the better ones. So, yeah, overall, this one still going sideways, still decent value, but right now things are still bearish in the crypto world, and not that should mean you shouldn't buy in or dollar cost average in. If you're looking at the long-term plan, again, it's hard, really, really hard to time bottoms. Do I think this is good value here? Yes. Do I think prices could possibly go lower? Yes. How low? Who knows? These are some, again, price targets to look for here around the $8 mark and $7 mark. You could add in more if you wanted to back there. And it seems to be hanging on to the structure we have from back here and here as well. You can see some lower ends of these dips that we've had as well. So next, let's take a look at CleanSpark, CLSK. This one on the daily, breaking down under the 100-day moving average. The 200 would be next, around 1332 in the fib. The 618 fib at around 1260. So some possible price targets. Again, it's holding on to all this structure from these prior dips below. So if it gets underneath that, again, you'd be targeting this 13 or the 12. I want to show you another indicator I sometimes put on as far as something to watch for, and that would be volume-based support and resistance zones. So as far as volume, and let's zoom out here on the weekly. I'm curious about this. Are there any volume zones that it's really showing underneath this? I want to see if I can just hide that for a bit. All right. So as far as the volume is this big on the weekly, volume gap down here at around 670. That would suck, but good value as well. And then the next one here, at least on the daily, would be around 10. So areas to watch for: the 200 at around 13, and then these volume zones at around 10. So when the moving averages aren't quite showing where things are stopping, this is another indicator to look at. So yeah, that's what we got for CleanSpark. Again, overall going downward, but one thing I take a look at with this is in the last year, where's our value at? We've been up here since February of 24. So for the last 6 months, this is as low as we've been. So if you dollar cost average in here, I would not blame you. Again, I don't try to get cute timing the bottoms and the tops. So as far as value, I would not say that's a bad place to be putting in at all. And the market cap here around 3.6 billion. Next, let's take a look at CIFR, CIFR. Let me get some more coffee. This episode is sponsored by Cafe Brit. I'm just kidding, it's not, but really good coffee. You can find it on Amazon. Highly recommend their stuff. I like it. CIFR overall, we've been talking about this one every time I do one of these videos, and I've been telling you guys, this thing's just been slowly grinding up. It has been one of the best looking mining stocks out there. Let's turn on our buy sell signal indicator again. And right now, look at it, it's still above the 50-day moving average. It might get down to the 100 or 200, but quickly bounces up. So CIFR still going up nicely on the weekly, still hanging in there pretty nicely the last couple weeks. You can see the sell signal, even though it had a sell signal, it had the wick underneath it, kind of forming a good base there. Then the long-legged doji. So should things possibly resume to be bullish anytime soon, this is one that I would keep an eye on as far as taking off. And yeah, looks like a very strong mining stock. So like the levels here, should it get under the 50 and go to the 100-day, we have around $4.10 and around 370. So some areas to look for, and the market cap's not too bad either at around $1.38. Now, something I do want to show you guys with CIFR, and this is just applying to new altcoins, new mining stocks this cycle. But last cycle, when CIFR came out, I want you to take a look at the bottom of the screen. This is December 2020. Remember, the two peaks we had were around March, April of 21, right here, and then around November of 21, which was a little bit out there. But we had these two peaks. It debuted, came out around $10, went up to 13, went up to 15. The reason why I'm showing you this, guys, is I personally do not touch new altcoins, new mining stocks when they come out after new all-time highs have been made or really close to it. So just be extra careful. If you've done your research you want to put in, that's fine, but maybe treat it like educated gambling money, quote unquote. I would not be betting the farm on any of these new ones. Now, this one's no longer new, and the chart to me is looking good. But as you can see, this one fell well over 90-ish%. So, yeah, just be careful with the new ones. And we'll talk about a new one at the end called Core Scientific. And again, I've not looked at it in a few weeks, so we'll see how that one's been doing. TeraWulf. So TeraWulf, when we were talking about it back here in this wedge formation, a lot of you guys have been commenting on Wolves, saying Wolf Gang or Wolf Army in the comments. I love it. Full disclosure, I even have some Wolf myself. Not telling you guys to buy it, but recently things have been looking great. So it is coming down on the daily to the 20 moving average. Again, that's still looking very bullish. Now, if it had a bigger pullback, I would not be surprised. You can see how we have these peaks here at the, is that the 382? Yes, it is. It's at the 382 fib at around 280, and maybe the 200 will come up there if it were to have a big bearish correction. But that wouldn't worry me too much personally. Possibly could be some great value to buy in more, but yeah, TeraWulf has it has more than doubled. We've been talking about this one as it's been around $2 and was again grinding up nicely, just as we saw with was it CIFR? I already forgot. And as you can see, the 50 here is around 370, 310. We have the 100. We have the 382 at 284 and the 200 down there. On the weekly, yeah, I mean, look how extended this is. Now, what's curious about this, because it went down so hard after last cycle, you can see where these weekly moving averages are. And check this out, guys. You can see how it's now finally making the weekly resistance into support. And it is still on the 200-week moving average. I didn't know that till right now, and so that's curious. I would like to see this get above and stay above, and the 200 weeks at around 510. And if we have a solid close above and it can stay above there, that would be wonderful. But if this does turn into resistance or maintains its level of resistance along with the 0.5, then I would be looking at some possible retracements here again to some of these lower values. You can see the 100 here, the 50 here, and the 382 at around 286. So if it did come back down there, don't be shocked. Don't be too worried or surprised. Also, something to like about Wolf is the overall value you can get. You can see its prior all-time high was around $43. That's still a 10x from here. We've been talking about this since, it would be over a 20x possibly if it ever returned there. So this is kind of a home run play for a miner if you're curious or interested in one of these mining stocks. All right. Sorry if me drinking coffee is hard to listen to through the speakers. Next, let's take a look at Bit Digital. And Bit Digital, what do we have here in the weekly? All right, it's coming up to another spike. It is interesting to me. Guys, I will say, and I wonder if you're feeling this too, it is interesting to me how these miners are holding up and doing way better than many of the altcoins out there that a lot of people talk about. So, crypto altcoins not doing so great, but miners overall sideways or up, not really correcting too bad. Bit Digital, kind of like Wolf, it's hitting that 200 moving average. And as you can see here, a couple important areas of resistance that has to turn into support. We have the 0.5 here at 420. Smoke them if you got them, if it's legal where you're at. And then we have the 200 around 375. So I would like to see a close above it. Wick above, not good enough yet. You can see we're testing it a third time. And overall, if this doesn't get too much higher than here, you'd worry about a head and shoulders coming into play. So let's get rid of these trend lines here, or at least that one. This is this base that we showed before, but we don't really need that anymore. So can this continue to break up? I hope so. Otherwise, watch out for the head and shoulder movement. And if that were to play out, then you're possibly, looking at Bit Digital, if things got very bearish, and that's always possible. Remember, we have an election coming up this year in November. In the next 4 months, things could get very volatile. And on the VIX index, I talked about this in yesterday's video, but the volatility of the markets is really at historically low areas. And so if the VIX starts to spike, things will become more volatile. Price action might start to jump all over the place. But if this can get bullish, watch for it to close and stay above the 200 and the 0.5 here. Hopefully you get up to somewhere around $6. But if it does a head and shoulders, it might get back down to $1. But hey, if you like Bit Digital, great area to dollar cost average in. If it's anywhere around this 260 range, in my opinion, anywhere 260, $2 in there is good, really good value. But right now it's running, so Bit Digital looking pretty good. And Bit Farms, just have a 3 left here. Bit Farms came down. Okay, so we had this triple peak here. Bit Farms, you can see here a little head and shoulders that it played out. But overall, at the 618, this teal line of the fib, we've gotten above it about 3 times, and now it's come back down to the moving averages. And each time it came down to the 100, came underneath, and let's see where the weekly has it. On that second time it came down. On the weekly, it came just underneath those moving averages, was able to barely hold on. Kind of a fake out underneath it, didn't get quite down to this fib. But we do have this trend line going up. And it has a buy signal on the weekly, even though it's a red candle. That's interesting. But right now it seems to be settling. So it's tagged that 100 a couple times on the 50. On the daily, seems to be forming a base. Maybe it comes down to this 233 level. Which should be fine to me, but overall, looks like it has a nice little base here. You could wait for some possible better price action, some more green, but if it does get down to this trend line, that's been going up at around $2-ish and some change. Hey, could be a good area to get into some Bit Farms. We have Iris Energy Limited and Core Scientific to close out with. So Iris Energy, on the daily, it came down and tagged the 50-day moving average, came back up again, but still looking bearish overall. Would not be surprised if it kind of settles around this 1050 to 1150 range right here. And on the weekly, see what that looks like. Oh, overall on the weekly, you can see here the 782. It's wicked above, but it's not closed above with the candles. So it's running into some heavy resistance at the 782. And so, yeah, it is possible that it could come back down to, let's see, the 618 here at around 790 and the 0.5 at around 540. There's a lot of price action support here. Also, this trend line coming up. Let's extend this out a little bit. And yeah, if it gets anywhere near this trend line or some of these moving averages or the fib support right here, I would say, 540 would be a great area to get some value. And again, don't be shocked if it comes back down there. It's been pretty overextended. You can see, when that has happened before, it has had these decent sized corrections. But yeah, I'd be watching for $8 as areas to get back into it, personally speaking. Core Scientific. Been really curious about where this one would be. And my God. So Core Scientific, this one came out right around the release of the Bitcoin ETF, which was in January. And, not a lot of chart to look at. You can see here, it's just a baby, a cute little baby moving average on the weekly with the 20 week. Let's go over to the daily. We've spawned in a 100-day moving average not too long ago. And you can see Core Scientific going sideways, staying on this 20. Um, Guys, it's really hard to chart this stuff when it's brand spanking new, but if it does have some corrections, there isn't a lot to show as far as support outside of what we have down here or even right here, at around $5. But, right now it's just going sideways, and we'll see where it goes from there. Market cap is around 1.7 billion. You can compare this to the market cap of some of the others as far as potential it has, but do be careful and do your research. Check out the balance sheet on these. Look at all the news, both good and bad. Try to have an unbiased opinion about it. And when you do look at any of the articles about any of these stocks, create a list. Top 5 or top 3 to 5 pros that you see, top 3 to 5 cons that you see. Weigh those, look at the balance sheet. One website I like is called Market Watch, and I think, here we go, Market Watch. This is a good one to look at. I'll look at this for stocks, and you can just look at total current liabilities, total assets, and you can check, where's the trend of the assets and the liabilities? Is the trend going up for assets? Is it sideways or going down for liabilities? But great website to look at for some of that. Actually, let's take a look at that. I know it's going to probably be very new, but if we type in Core Scientific and you go to financials, and I'm not sponsored, obviously, with my 600 subscribers. I don't make any money from this. I just like doing this for fun. So you can see here for Core Scientific, hell no, not paying for that. Total current assets, right? We have 97 million, and you can see as far as current assets, oh boy, that dipped down quite a bit. It was at 760 million, dipped down to 85, and then up to 72. So that's curious. Again, it's a new company, but I'd be curious to look at more of that. But again, you see here total assets 2.4 billion down to 800 million, 700 million. So hopefully it's finding a base, but the asset growth isn't looking great. Total current liabilities 320 to 186 and then it spiked up again to 488 million. So what I like to do is just look at what are the assets to liabilities. We have a 1 to 5, so that's a 0.2 pretty much. If we just round it out, about 100 million, about 500 million. So that's 0.2. For stocks, when you're looking to invest, you want that number to be positive, well above 1. Anything above 2 or higher is great. Again, this is crypto, so things aren't typical, and you really got to love the research on some of these mining stocks. But that's one way you can take a look at this. Not loving the balance sheet, guys, I'll be honest with you. But in the world of crypto, none of that matters. In any of these cycle bull runs, things can run up like crazy. When we have these spikes, when Bitcoin dominance tanks, let's finish with that. Famous last words on this channel if you've watched enough. When Bitcoin dominance tanks, let's zoom out on the weekly, right here, and it takes about 5-6 weeks, the last 2 cycles. When dominance tanks, this is the overall percentage of money in crypto that's in Bitcoin. 55% of all crypto money is in Bitcoin right now. When that tanks to the low 40%, that's when alts have exploded the last 2 cycles. And that's when a lot of these miners have exploded too. So that's what I'd be watching for. It's not going to stay there, especially for these companies that have a 0.2 ratio of assets to liabilities. So do be careful. I also do videos on this channel on stocks. I'm probably going to put one out here in a few hours on Mag 7 stocks, maybe some earnings reports. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Miners holding up great compared to many of the altcoins. We can just run down the list here. You can see the weakness. Many of these altcoins are just bleeding out horribly. But again, I do videos on those too. Crypto, it's volatile. I try to make it as simplified for any of you newbies as much as possible. Not talking about trading, more investing and trade investing on this channel. Nothing I say is financial advice. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're all doing well. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend and go enjoy the weather. Bye-bye.